In fact, I got lesser mark in mathematics in my higher secondary. They want to make sure that everyone gets passed, everyone gets sent in. But I would say that if some student, he or she score 90, is she not eligible to leave? I think it's high time that we should come out of this viewpoint.
What are your future larger plans with regard to propagating mathematics?
There are many science parks and science museums that were present in India, but in mathematics, unfortunately, there's no one unique place to do this.
Welcome to ICT Academy Dialogue. Today we have Professor Sivaraman, the founder of Pi Mathematics Association with us, who is also the recipient of National Award for Popularizing Mathematics Among Masses. He is also the recipient of Indian National Science Academy, Government of India's Teachers Award for the year 2018. Let's welcome him. Welcome. Can you define maths for a zombie bit by mathematics like me?
See, actually speaking, mathematics is a subject which can describe the whole universe itself, and that's what Galileo said. He once said that the universe is written in the language of mathematics. So, if you see in that perspective, I think that mathematics is a subject where everyone should at least have some affinity towards it, some liking towards it. The fear that you get most often is because the way we were taught. Probably I would see anyone who is interested in mathematics would have a better teacher. And if you don't get such a teacher, that's the reason for these things, if I hope correctly.
When I browsed through your website, Foundation's website, I came across a word Mathphobia. What is Mathphobia and how to alleviate it?
See, phobia is something kind of a fear, great fear. So, in fact, Mathphobia is a global aspect. That is, most often if you take some 100 students for sampling, 80 students out of 100 used to say that I fear math. In the beginning stage, if you look at any student like who does 3rd class or 5th class or even up to 7th class, they see math is a good subject because it concerns about the basic aspects of numbers, shapes and other things which everyone likes. The fear factor comes once they go to abstraction, when they start studying algebra, trigonometry or calculus or something. So the point is, the same kind of interest or the idea that were put into their head by the earlier class, if the same kind of motivation was given in the higher classes, then there's no need to get fear.
When you talk, you show your love for mathematics. How did you fall in love with mathematics? Is it possible for any person like me to fall in love with mathematics?
There's no difference between you and me in this case. There is some stage that we should realize that we could do. Most often I see students starting or loving to learn something, but it is hardly for 1 day or 2 days or a week at the most, and they leave and go for other options. Now, if you stick on to your passion, stick on to your ideas continuously for a long time, then I think you become an expert. In fact, I got lesser mark in mathematics in my higher secondary also. But the passion I got became evident when I did my UG program. And then it kicked off.
So when you say you didn't score higher marks in your higher secondary, but still you are passionate about mathematics, what made you more passionate towards mathematics?
See, the first thing that made me to be inclined toward mathematics is to achieve something, because I was missing so many things in my life. So my aim was to prove myself to the world that I am good. I was thinking in my mind, why after all these ideas are put forward? Is there any practical usage to it? And once you think of that way, I got several ideas one by one, and I hope that there's one person that I want to say, P.K. Srinivasan, who actually told me at my young age that you have to look for good books. Even before meeting him, I was reading something, but after meeting him, my idea of seeing things changed completely. The perception got completely different. And I see now I have more than 3,000 books in my home, completely regarding mathematics. So if you are interested, if you say that I'm interested in knowing about pi, I can give half a dozen books about that. So
pi alone.
Pi alone.
That's a great endeavor. You shape up yourselves and you also shape up the next generation.
Yes.
When we talk about the next generation, mostly in your earlier answers, you hinted that it all lies in the hands of a teacher.
Certainly.
So what will be the role of a teacher, or what should be the role of a teacher in creating interest on mathematics in students?
See, the first thing that a good teacher should do is feel students very comfortable when they come to math classes. The moment I enter the class, I just ask, what is today's date? They say something. So suppose if the date is 16, for example, I used to say 16 is the only number which is a square as well as fourth power. It is only number of the form a power b is equal to b power a. In the sense, it is written as 2 to the power 4 as well as 4 power 2. If you interchange the power and the base, that's the only number of that type. So this kind of curiosity is what we call number curiosity, or some kind of curiosity. If you could tell them, it will be of much. They start liking, in the sense, oh, this kind of property is just available for one number. How come you know it? And then I tell them, this is where you need mathematics. Though it's easy to convey this fact, it's not easy to prove. Good teachers should do that. They should give some more exercise or some projects or mini projects or some kind of curiosities like this, and make students attract towards you. And if you make them attract towards you, whatever you tell, most of them would be ready to grasp. And in between teaching courses, they can possibly connect some wherever possible, not always possible, but in most of the cases in mathematics, in my experience, I see very famous theorems have real life application connections. And so it would be better if you could make such subtle connections, and that would make them feel much happier in learning these theorems.
When maths or any subject is being taught in schools or colleges, there is one agenda that students should be made to score high. And with that agenda and the pressure of that agenda, teachers, I feel that they fail sometimes to give the knowledge to them. Instead, they only put in the data into the mind of students. How could this be mitigated, sir?
Yes, this is a very big challenge actually. Being a teacher myself, I face the same situation. But at least in college level, these problems are reduced. In college level, no one goes by mark. They want to clear the paper, that is all. But in school, this is a big problem, what you said. So school teachers face a much bigger problem than the college teachers or university teachers. I'm fortunate to be in college because I want to actually make people realize the good things, and the college students are a little bit more matured than the school children. So, but the problem that school teachers face in nowadays, the current day situation, is they want to make sure that everyone get passed, everyone gets centum. But I would say that if some student, he or she score 90, is she not eligible to live? So why do you always insist to get centum, especially in mathematics? So that's not fair actually. Most of the things that is unfortunate in today's education system is exam centric. I think it's high time that we should come out of this viewpoint, so that everyone should take up this. As a classic example of the problem that we face here is, you see, there are many children who score 200 out of 200 in the earlier stream, score 3 or 4 centums in the 12th class papers, but they could not pass any national level exams like IIT, JEE or some other exam. So even they could not even attempt the questions. I had met some students who are very good in scoring marks, but they could not even understand what is asked in the paper. That is the real situation that we are facing. And if you cannot even understand what is asked in the national level paper, how can you compete with international standards? So that's where the problem comes. So it's high time that some modification has to be made. I hope it will happen soon.
So when we talk about teaching mathematics, I get a question. What is the difference between a teacher, that is who teaches mathematics, and a mathematician?
See, there's a big difference between these two things. A teacher is the one who concentrate only or focus only on what they are supposed to teach. In the sense, some material is given to them, some syllabus is given to them. They want to stick on to that particular aspect and then teach whatever best way they could possibly do. But mathematician is the one who could create new opportunities from the existing ideas. So if, for example, if something is available in the book or syllabi for 2 cases, a mathematician would seek an opportunity to do the same thing for 3 cases or 4 cases, in general for n cases, n number of cases. And his aim was to create several other mathematicians also after becoming himself an accomplished mathematician. So that's a big difference. And I see professor is in one more stage than this. Professor is the one who shows the way, not come along with the story.
And when we talk about mathematicians, are Indian mathematicians superior to the world mathematicians in comparison?
To be honest, I don't think so.
Okay.
People were asking me many times that is Ramanujan one of the great mathematicians of the previous century? was so genius just because he was born in India. I would say that even if he was born in Canada or in some other place, Netherlands or somewhere, he could have been a genius. See, it all depends on your circumstances, of course. And for mathematics, you don't need infrastructure. All you need is your mind to think.
How important and relevant is mathematics in today's context, sir?
It is more relevant because, in the sense that when you talk about the advancement of technology, these days, countries' economic growth and other aspects, growth factor is measured through various sectors in economic policies as well as development in science and technology. And once you think about development of science and technology, mathematics plays a big role. For example, the invention of calculus was instrumental for sending the rockets to the respective places very efficiently. Without calculus, this cannot be accomplished. So, in a way, the new ideas that were put forward by various people in various point of time had been used very effectively to some way or other to come up with a new application, new advancement in technology. For example, if you think of a new model in cell phone that uses mathematics, and once you make a phone call to others, the signals that are transformed were called Fourier transforms and other things which were taught in college level at BTech or BE courses. So you see, this kind of things are very essential for any development. So in that sense, mathematics is much relevant in today's progress.
So you have been telling that mathematics is relevant in today's context and it is applied in daily life. What relevance it has towards cultures?
Yes, certainly this is a very interesting question actually. See, if you historically see, the ancient man, culturally speaking, used mathematics some 35,000 years ago. We have two evidences of counting dots, which were done for various reasons by ancient people who lived probably in caves. And those two rods are called Ishango bone and Lebombo bone, which were very old. And those two are the, as far as I knew, were the earliest possible available calculators. They were used for calculating purpose, and they were kept in Belgium now, in National Science Museum. Culturally speaking, mathematics goes hand by hand in humanities development. In many cases, the role played by mathematics in this development is unseen or unknown, but it does play a big part in it. And there is recently, if you see, some centuries ago, there were big research areas spurred out. It is called ethnomathematics. Ethnomathematics is the area of research of mathematics towards culture. Cultural mathematics, what we call. So that itself is a big research area. Particularly, many people in Africa and America, they are doing this kind of research. There are separate people doing this, and there are many. One favorite mathematician who began this was D. Ambrosio, who was called father of ethnomathematics. And the other one, who's my favorite ethnomathematician, was Paul Geddes from Africa. He has done so much of research work, and there's one book that he has written. He wrote about the basket weaving of ancient African people, and through the way he could explain intricacies of geometry. He could even go up to the extent where you can prove Pythagorean theorem, which is a very important theorem in geometry, taught in 10th class level now. So it shows that everything has some mathematics in it. So that's the idea of ethnomathematics.
Is it fruitful to pursue a graduation or post-graduation in mathematics? What are the streams available, sir?
See, there are undergraduate programs, postgraduate programs offered in great institutes like IITs, and they conduct an exam called JAM, which is Joint Admission Test, which is kept for students all over India every year by month of February. And if you pass that exam, you get admitted to pursue MSc course, post-graduation course at any of the standard IITs. And thereby you can have a great exposure in doing research programs or following up with MS programs or something in your chosen field. For regarding undergraduate programs, of course, there are many good city-based colleges. Most of the research-based institutes they begin their programs only at PG level, post-graduation level. But for undergraduate level, you have to seek usual colleges, city colleges.
What is the greatest scope that mathematics has in the field of research, sir, in India and abroad?
See, the scope of research is immense. As I told you, there are even subtle things and very simple things which are not been proven so far. So, if you want to really have a crack at it, there are so many chances that you have. The good thing about research is you might think of some problem and start working in it, but you come up with a new idea, new problem that might create great interest in your earlier idea, so you get a degree in that. Most often it happens. So, the thing is, you, as I told before, it all depends on your passion, your continuous efforts to it. And this, if you ask me to what is the scope of research, the research work that is done by several people has a materialistic value once it is getting applied to a market, practically speaking. And as far as I knew, nearly 1/5 of the results only have been getting applied. More than 80% of the main mathematical results are not getting applied. So, there may be some mathematicians, applied mathematicians, who try to fill this gap of applying what is existing theorems to the practical life scenarios, and there is a big scope for it.
The other part of the question was, what are the streams in mathematics that are available for education?
Yes, there is, actually speaking, there are two main streams. One is pure mathematics, the other one is applied mathematics. And once you go to applied mathematics, there are diverse areas. Like you can seek computer science applications. You can even now the most recent application of mathematics in genetic technology. And there's a big area of research called mathematical biology. Recently, I had published some 3 or 4 important papers in mathematical biology. So you see, there are so much of opportunities to know about how genes interact. And if you study DNA sequences, which are critical in deciding whether hereditary factor of a father and a son or something, whether they are related to each other, and there mathematics plays a big role. So you see, mathematics, the scope of mathematics has been wider, and recently American Mathematical Society has listed the number of disciplines in mathematics which are very active as of now. I saw that there are more than 100 such disciplines, which is immense actually.
So far, we have been discussing about the research scope and the disciplines available in the field of mathematics. Now, I'd like to ask the career scope for those who pursue a course in mathematics.
Yes, see, depending upon what research you have done and what output that you have got, you have many opportunities regardingly. As an example, if you are good at programming level and if you are good at producing algorithms, you have a more chance in going to field of data analysis or whatever you call software programmer or anything related to such things. Like you have a better option in learning artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all those aspects have very good opportunities for those who know very good mathematics. Companies in Silicon Valley, you will see they procure more people who are basically mathematicians. They are up to at least who have done post graduation, because their programming skills and logical thinking would be much better than other graduates. And you often see that at least 30% of people have mathematical background. So I'm not sure about whether that happens in India, but still, compared to other countries, India still need good mathematicians, because as I told before, the course that was taught here seems to be completely disconnected from the actual expectations.
It interests me to ask you something off this track, whatever we have been discussing so far. Where all mathematics is applied in our daily life, sir? Could you give few examples?
I mean, I love talking about this or writing about this. That is my passion actually. I have written more than 50 or 60 articles regarding this, and I love speaking about it. If you want to take tiling process, tiling that we usually come across, you often see, can you guess what kind of shape that is used for tiling? I mean, in other words, can you make tiling, proper tiling, with any different shapes, any shape that you like using circles, for example? Have you seen any tiling?
No.
Why
Squares.
Squares, that's right. Then
Squares and rectangles mostly.
of course every square is a rectangle.
Oh, nice.
So both are same. So what else then?
That's all kind of.
Now in car parking, you could have seen hexagonal.
Hexagons and all.
In car parking areas, in pathways, hexagonal shapes. filing one. See, the main part in tiling, the technical name for tiling process called tessellation. Tessellation is process of filling the given area, the space, such that there are two important conditions required. One is that there should not be gaps. Other thing is there should not be any overlap. In these two conditions, you can actually see mathematically that there are only three possible shapes. And the proof is very easy to understand once you know a bit of geometry. I'm not going to brief it, don't bother. But the other possible shape that you have is triangles. Triangle shape is another shape. And of course, this is a particular case of hexagon, because if you stack 6 triangles together, you get a hexagon. But I was wondering that how come nature knows all this thing. For example, if you see honeycombs are hexagonal shape, hexagonal models, and snowflakes are hexagonal. Why often nature chooses this hexagonal shape? In fact, it was recently discovered that there are many things that were looking hexagonal shapes in Saturn. So I was wondering why, as I told before, nature knows how best to optimize things. So I think that nature is the best mathematician among all mathematicians. And the other thing, as practical example, there are much of things that is available here. There's one rule called rule of 72. Rule of that simple idea, which is if you invest some money, say 10,000 rupees for example, and if I want to know how much period that I need to wait till this amount gets double, say up to 20,000 rupees. So there's a very condensed formula in mathematics. I call this called rule of 72. All you have to do is, if the rate of interest is r%, you divide 72 by r. That is the time period that you have to wait. Supposing if the rate of interest is 6%, and if I am depositing say 1 lakh rupees, how much time should I wait? 72 by 6 is 12. Very simple. The main idea of mathematics is to understand complex things into a simple way.
What is the connection between mathematics and internet?
Internet.
Yeah.
Yes. See, internet has been has so much of mathematics in it. Right from the moment you search for something in a web page or something, what you call search engines, you choose. The internet works because of search engines. That's a key tool for that. And there's a big mathematics called PageRank algorithm behind search engines. And Google uses PageRank algorithm as of now. It is because of PageRank algorithm you get number of pages related to what you actually need. Before that it was not so. The other thing is, if you look out for any website, you often find HTTP something slash colon slash something. And how do you know such sites are secure? Because if you do not know that the sites are secure, you can't make online transaction. In case if you find HTTPS after P, then you can come across, know that it is secure site. And that S is because of secure, and security is because of mathematics. If you book a ticket in IRCTC, there's one thing that is kept very efficiently used in computers, in the internet, called RSA cryptography, the encryption process. While you book your ticket, there is while the final confirmation status was arrived to you, I don't know how many of people recognize this. It will usually mention that 128-bit SSL encryption done, software socket locket. So if you see that there's a big mathematics encryption, and 128 is 2 to the power 7. So there's big mathematics involved in it, and only because of that encryption process mathematically done, your ticket got booked.
So far you've been answering great, sir. I'd like to have some kind of amusing things that mathematics can do.
Certainly, there are plenty.
Yeah. Could you do some live example of such thing that creates interest in the learners?
Yes, if you could cooperate with me.
Sure.
You think of any date and month. Okay. Multiply the date by 12.
Okay.
You get some answer. Keep it. Multiply the month by 31. I think this is somewhat harder.
I need a calculator to do
yes, certainly. Multiply the date by 12, you get an answer. Remember it.
Multiply the date by 12. Okay. Fine.
And remember this, and then multiply the month by 31. You get two answers and add them up and give the final result to me.
Yeah, I got the answer.
You tell me.
318.
318. So it should be 11th of June. June 11th.
Yes, yes.
11/6.
Exactly. That's my date of birth.
So I should have done much quicker if I get practice to it.
Okay.
So the big idea here is, this is a quite surprising thing, because you have two variables given to me. I have only one equation. But still, how come I could come up with an answer? This is where things get a little tricky, and there are very amusing tricks that you can perform. Some are unbelievably very smart. You can never imagine such things to happen, but still happen because of the properties of mathematics that we have. And I usually go to schools to do all this kind of tricks and to make children feel good about math. But again, this is not real mathematics.
And so far we have been listening to your passion that you have for mathematics, and you have been taking us through different information that will be surely useful for the viewers. What Pi Mathematics Association does for the betterment of mathematics?
Yes, certainly. The idea of initiating Pi Mathematics Association itself is very intriguing. The thing is, as I said before, I was very much worrying as a teacher or a professor that why the quality of math education and understanding basic mathematics is lacking. It is coming down in India particularly. Whereas while there is one period where India is superior power in knowing mathematics, but nowadays you can't say that way. So to regain such glory or to do something fruitful to the community, this association was initiated in the year 2007, 12 years back, and I'm quite happy that our efforts are being fruitful now. Wherever we go, we create an impact. So our main aim is to dispel mathphobia, and not just phobia, but to understand how things are getting used to science, to technology, to culture, how we are culturally oriented mathematically, how we think mathematically, and what are the intricacies in teaching if you choose teaching position. And I can very well happily share with you the news that most of my students were very close to me right from the beginning of the association, were become professors now. They are quite accomplished now. They started lecturing themselves, following me. The other thing that Pi Mathematics Association does it was to help really poor students. We take free classes by going to various schools, and especially those who cannot afford to go for private classes. For the past 5 years, I was teaching students who come from very downtrodden area. I can tell you that they are doing very well. I had been successful in creating interest to them. So, according to me, it doesn't matter in what banner you are doing this. Your aim is to do something good for the society, and I can do it better way using mathematics. That is all I can do.
Your favorite mathematician?
Every time when I speak, I don't miss him name. So my favorite mathematician was undoubtedly Srinivasa Ramanujan.
In what other ways you have been propagating Ramanujan?
I had been involved very actively in speaking about Ramanujan wherever I go, in schools and colleges. As far as I remember, I had given more than 150 lectures about him at various places in India, and I made sure that people got excited in knowing about him. Some places I spoke more about his life issues, and some places I spoke more about his mathematical achievements, which both are equally important to him. And in that aspect, I had done more. The other thing that I am very fortunate is that I was involved with helping the film released in 2014 titled Ramanujan. I think many other sectors of people came to know more about Ramanujan because of that film. And I am very fortunate to help them by giving the scripts of Ramanujan, helping them in knowing more about Ramanujan. So my name was in fact displayed in the initial credit screen of the film, and I feel very happy for it.
You are a writer too. You write a lot of books on mathematics.
No, it was very accidental actually, because as I told you, my aim was to propagate mathematics in life. When you register something through books, it will be spread out.
Any accolades for your writing, sir?
Certainly, I had got nearly 10 best book awards, including 2 best science book awards from Government of Tamil Nadu. It was given by Tamil Mathematician. The first book that got this Tamil Nadu government award was titled Engalin Ennangal.
One last question to you, sir. What are your future larger plans with regard to propagating mathematics?
I have a big dream that I want to initiate with the help of many to have a larger place for mathematics where it's kind of museum. containing multi-storied things, right from kindergarten level up to post-graduation level or up to research level, where the ideas are displayed as models and visual things are made, so that everyone who get problems in understanding at school or college can come over there and see things unfolding before their own eyes. It could act not as an institute offering some particular course, but it should act like a temple of mathematics where people come and enjoy mathematics. That it's kind of place where, because there are many science parks and science museums that were present in India. In astronomy, you find many such telescopes and other things. But in mathematics, unfortunately, there's no one unique place to do this, and I want to be part of it. That's my biggest dream. Thank you.
That was ICT Academy Dialogue with Professor Sivaraman, the founder of Pi Mathematics Association. Thank you for being with us. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Thank you.